Yeah, certainly, Thabo, and that's really where we are just going to pick up from this adjournment. We would have heard some of those complaints, as we spoke earlier, came from two particular individuals. That would be Violence Monitor Mary Deas, as well as Patricia Makhoali, and it would be tested here during, of course, that question and answering that's taking place for the police minister on special leave in regards to whether or not it would be the input of these two individuals that would, of course, influence his decision to essentially dissolve the political killings task team. We heard from the first particular individual, Patricia Makhoali, about the fact that she was firstly indicated in Senzo Mchunu's statement as a former police officer, and that he had received complaints that she had, in fact, posted on Facebook. But he was asked whether or not did he actually, in fact, verify some of the allegations that she had made. Were they in fact in contact in regards to anything that they had to say? And we were told that he did not in fact speak to her, and in fact rather speaking to the fact that he didn't testify, he didn't verify any of these complaints. But just have a listen to essentially how this played out within the commission.
You have this organization or this task team which has been endorsed by your predecessors, which has done work. You said in the morning to Ms. Sillo, you don't disagree where the National Commissioner says they have done beautiful work, great work. I think you read an excerpt on your statement. You said you don't disagree. You get complaints from 8 people. Maybe they are serious. We don't know. I'm prepared to accept you saying they are of grave seriousness, the allegations. But you don't verify them, and yet you rely on them to make a decision to disband the team. I see a problem there about how you got to that decision, that this is a factor I'm going to take into account.
Commissioner, I had no reason, even without verification, to doubt that, but I accept that there would need to be a platform that verifies, but they were serious enough. They were serious enough, and I'm honest with the Commission. Serious enough, detailed enough, with anecdotes to convince me that indeed they are serious and they need to be processed in a particular way.
And while the commissioners went further, they tested him about an email that he had received from Violence Monitor Mary Deas, an academic we know has recently made quite the headlines when she appeared before Parliament's ad hoc committee probing particularly the same matters, where it was her email, in fact, that she sent to the police minister detailing these abuses of human rights by PKTT members to suspects. In fact, in that email, she made a list of demands, including, of course, that National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola should be removed from his position. There was also, of course, the appointment of General Dumisani Khumalo as the crime intelligence head, and, of course, one of the heads of the PKTT saying that he should not be able to hold both of these positions. But, of course, what was really critical was it was, according to the minister, quite a lengthy email where he himself, in fact, conceded to the fact that when he read it, he at first took it at face value to say it had important information, but he even said himself that he got lost within the email and that it was an email that sounded like it didn't come from someone with a sound mind. But let's have a listen to how he was tested and whether or not this email had an impact at all on the influence. He told the commission flat out that it did not, and that he was merely taking information and complaints that he had received from various sectors as part of his consideration, but it did not at all have any weight in the decision that he made on the 31st of December back in 2024. Have a listen.
Ms. Deas writes to you with a whole lot of demands and telling you what must happen. And then she gives you, either she gives you or you got hold of these documents. And we're interested in the period before you made your decision,
Yes.
not what you went and said in Parliament.
Yes.
We are interested to see what role did she play in your decision making, right? And so I ask the question with that context or that background. Is what she gave to you, her letter to you, and anything else that she has said, whether directly to you or publicly, before the 29th of December, before you made the decision, was any of it relevant in your making the decision to disband the PKTT?
No.
No. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Now, Thabo, this was particularly important, and a big chunk of the afternoon focused on these very influential people, according to the minister, whose words and decisions that he would have relied on when he made this decision. And you'd remember in his own evidence, he said that he had received these complaints, and this is why he had taken this decision. But again, the commission really testing not only the influence that this could have had on the minister, but I think perhaps maybe even the weight of these individuals. As I said, they pointed out that Patricia Mashela was not even a police officer, and that she simply worked as a clerk within administration, and that she was also dismissed from her position. There was also, again, the email that was put forward by Mary Deas, where they tested certain parts of it to say, look, some of the suggestions and even the demands that she was making were not even in line with the law. And he, of course, again, as I've mentioned, conceding to the fact that this did not have a weight or an influence. But the commission then shifted to what continues to be a very big part of the minister's evidence when he speaks about the reason to disestablish the PKTT. And of course, this is in regards to the budget constraints that the minister alleges that this was causing in regards to draining the already drained resources of SAPS and as well as its coffers. Now, we know as well that the PKTT did come at quite a hefty price tag, and this would be the case for all task teams within these SAPS structures. We understood that it costed SAPS around 435 million rand since its establishment in 2018. But it was put to the police minister that they would establish another task team, this time in the Eastern Cape, focusing on taxi violence in the very same month that they would dissolve the PKTT, saying, well, this seems to be an inconsistency. But they probed even further to say, in regards to the allegations that he made, that it was really one of the units that was costing a lot of the money, there was then an issue raised about the illicit mining task team. This comes at a price tag of 1.1 billion rand. Have a listen to this engagement just before we adjourned.
And you will note that, because now we're having a conversation about funding and budget, the most expensive is the illicit mining only Kara funding at 1.1 billion over a 3-year period, 2023-24 up to 2025-26, and that is up to the 30th of September 2025. Now, my question is, based on what you have testified to thus far, and the budgetary constraints and the concerns you have, would it be fair to assume that you have expressed your concerns regarding the expenditure pattern of that particular task team, or not?
Illicit mining.
Yes, illicit mining, the first on the table, yes.
Yeah, at some point we did discuss expenditure with National Commissioner, but it was in the context when we needed to take part in getting the illegal miners from underground at a particular point in December, January, that we didn't have money to do that.
And so when you obviously hear the response given by the police minister, it does raise the question which was put forward by the chair of the commission, Justice Madlanga, yesterday to say why was the PKTT specifically picked on when it came to the issues of budget constraints, when it came to the issues of how it was structured. Well, we are going to continue to hear some of the questions and answers that have been posed to the minister as the commission continues to get underway. We're taking those proceedings live as we're expecting this to run into the night. Tabo